You're not falling apart. You checked. You went over everything carefully. Nothing catastrophic happened. Nothing collapsed. And somehow that makes it heavier. There's a kind of emptiness that doesn't make an entrance. It doesn't follow heartbreak. It doesn't trail behind loss. It doesn't arrive with bad news or a sudden phone call. It simply settles in, quietly, without asking, without explaining. And it stays. Not loudly, not dramatically, not in a way that pulls tears from your eyes or forces you to the floor. It stays in a way that's subtle, almost polite. You wake up. You complete the tasks. You answer the messages. You show up where you're expected. You function. But somewhere inside all of it, there's a distance. You notice you're moving through your own life like a background character. Present, yet detached. Breathing, but not fully inside the moment. It's like watching yourself from just a step behind your own eyes. And the strangest part, the part that lingers at night, is that nothing is technically wrong. Your life isn't in ruins. Your situation isn't tragic. You have responsibilities. You have people. You have reasons to be okay. And still there's a quiet space inside you that feels unfamiliar. Maybe it was always there and you're only now aware of it. Maybe it formed slowly over time. Either way, you feel it now. And you don't know what to do with it. Most people don't talk about this kind of emptiness because it doesn't fit a clear story. When someone asks, "What's going on?" you don't have a headline. Nothing specific happened. That's the unsettling part. Nothing happened, and yet something shifted. Something dimmed. Something softened. Something faded so gradually you didn't even see it leaving. Until one day you looked around your own life and thought, "Why doesn't this feel like mine?" That question carries weight, because it isn't about achievements or possessions. It's not about milestones or titles. It's about presence. It's about feeling like you belong inside your own experience. When that feeling disappears, when everything looks stable but feels hollow, you start wondering if something must be wrong with you. But listen carefully. Nothing is wrong with you. This kind of emptiness is more common than people admit. It doesn't mean you're ungrateful. It doesn't mean you're failing at being human. It means you're experiencing something many people feel but rarely name. And because it doesn't have a clear label, you carry it quietly. You smile when appropriate. You perform well enough to get through the day. And no one suspects that inside, things feel muted. Let's describe it honestly. It feels like standing in a crowded room and still sensing isolation. It feels like laughing and realizing halfway through that you didn't actually feel joy. You just produced the sound. It feels like maintaining conversations while part of you stays somewhere distant. It's not peaceful quiet. It's not restful stillness. It's the quiet of absence. Like something that once hummed inside you has gone silent. You might not even remember exactly what that hum felt like. That's what makes it confusing. You just know something is missing. Many people assume emptiness equals sadness, or that it must be clinical, or that it needs a diagnosis. Sometimes that's true, and when it is, professional support is important and valuable. But sometimes emptiness isn't a disorder. Sometimes it's disconnection. Years of moving on autopilot. Years of chasing what you were told would bring fulfillment. Years of saying yes when you meant maybe, or even no. Years of building a life that looks correct on paper but doesn't fully reflect who you are. That's not a flaw. That's drift. And drift happens quietly. Modern life encourages it. Everything is optimized, measured, accelerated. You're trained to produce, to maintain visibility, to stay relevant, to keep moving. Somewhere along the way, one question got buried. How do I actually feel? Not how should I feel? Not how do I appear to feel? But in the quiet of my own chest, what's really there? Most people haven't been still long enough to answer. Stillness can feel uncomfortable when you're empty. Because in silence, there's nothing to distract you. No scrolling, no task, no noise. Just you. So you fill the space. With work, with content, with plans, with productivity. And it works. For a while. But when the noise fades at night, the quiet returns. waiting, unmoved. There was a time I believed this meant something was broken in me. I had enough, more than enough. Yet there was this fog between me and my own life. I labeled it laziness, ingratitude, personal failure. But eventually I understood something different. The emptiness wasn't a defect. It was information. It was a signal that something deeper needed attention. Not necessarily my job or my environment, but the way I was moving through everything without reflection. That realization didn't transform everything overnight, but it shifted how I related to the feeling. Instead of escaping it, I started sitting with it. Instead of immediately filling silence, I listened. And slowly, I realized something important. The emptiness wasn't proof I was broken. It was proof I was still aware. Numbness is often misunderstood. It's not the absence of emotion. It's emotion behind a wall. The lights are on inside, but the doors feel locked. You can sense something alive in there. You just can't reach it. That's why emptiness feels confusing. You're not incapable of feeling. You're disconnected from the access point. And it happened gradually, like color fading from a photograph. You don't notice it day by day. Only later do you realize how muted things have become. There's a quiet grief in that. Grief for the version of yourself that once felt more vivid. Grief for intensity you didn't realize you'd miss. Grief for texture, for color, for presence. Even if nothing dramatic occurred, that grief is real. You're allowed to mourn shifts that don't have headlines. There's often guilt attached to emptiness too. I should be fine. Other people have real struggles. I have no reason to feel this way. But emotional experience isn't a competition. Your internal state doesn't need to be justified by comparison. Your experience matters because it's yours. A common reaction is to try to solve it. More books, more goals, new routines, better optimization. Sometimes structure helps. But emptiness isn't a productivity issue. It isn't solved by squeezing more efficiency into your morning. Some experiences don't respond to force, they respond to awareness. That's uncomfortable in a world built on quick solutions. But sometimes the starting point is simply honesty. I don't fully understand what I'm feeling. That admission isn't weakness, it's clarity. Once you become aware of emptiness, you can't unsee it. The questions begin. When did I disconnect? Why does everything feel distant? What am I missing? Those questions feel heavy. But the fact that you're asking them matters. Drifting doesn't ask questions. Awareness does. There's a difference between existing and living. Existing is completing tasks. Living is feeling present inside them. Many people operate efficiently, yet feel detached. That isn't failure. Often it's prolonged survival mode, and survival over time can resemble emptiness. I won't promise a dramatic breakthrough. That's rarely how this works. What I will say is this. You can learn to coexist with the hollow without letting it define you. You can allow the feeling without layering guilt on top of it. You can stop fighting yourself. And in that non-resistance, something subtle shifts. Not fireworks, not instant clarity, just small moments. A brief sense of connection, a flicker of presence, a moment where you feel genuinely inside your own experience. Even if it lasts seconds, it matters. Because it proves something vital. You are still in there. Emptiness doesn't respond well to pressure. The more aggressively you try to eliminate it, the heavier it can feel. But when you stop making it evidence of personal failure, the space around it softens. Some people outrun this feeling for years by staying busy. But eventually stillness arrives. You're here now, not running, not pretending. That takes strength. I don't know what this season is teaching you. I don't know what adjustments it may ask for over time. But I know this. You are not defective. You are not strange. You are not beyond repair. You are in the middle of something unnamed. And being in the middle doesn't mean you're lost forever. You don't need a 5-step solution tonight. You don't need to map the next 5 years. You just need to stay. Stay with yourself. Stay with the questions. Stay with the quiet. Not because it's comfortable, but because you are worth staying for. There is strength in admitting you don't have everything figured out. There is wisdom in allowing uncertainty without panic. If you've made it this far, You already have resilience. Not because you're extraordinary, but because you're human. Humans are capable of carrying weight that doesn't have clear explanations, of feeling lost and still continuing forward. So here's where we leave it. You are allowed to feel empty. You are allowed to not know why. You are allowed to take your time. There is no deadline on rediscovering connection. No finish line you're required to cross. There is only this moment. And the next one. You don't have to solve your entire life today. Just breathe. Just stay. Just allow yourself to be exactly where you are. Sometimes that permission, not pressure, is what begins the shift. Even now, even here, even in the quiet. You're still here, and that matters more than you realize.